Hi folks, this is Vint with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to quickly check out Potato Pirates. This is a card game that's coming to Kickstarter sometime late August or early September of 2017. It's important to stress that what you're looking at here are prototype components, so everything that you're about to see is subject to change. For example, this rulebook doesn't really fit into this box. So yeah, like I said, this manual actually came separate. So anyway, what is this game about? Well, I'm not going to go over all of the rules. This is just a quick overview to give you an idea as to what you're in for should you decide to support this. But to sum it up, potatoes, pirates, and programming. What more can you ask for? And on the other side, we've got coding with card. That's clever play on potatoes. Anyway, what is this game about? Well, basically, you start the game with 2 ships and 10 of these potato crew members. That's what these little tan balls are. And what's going to be happening is you're going to be attacking other players by playing these cards. Every player starts with a hand of 5 cards. They start with 10 crew members on each ship. The large one is 5 and these smaller ones are 1. And your ships start on the anchor side. On your turn, what's going to happen is you're going to draw 2 cards from the deck to add to your hand. And then you can play with each of these ships in one of 2 ways. You can either build on top of that ship by playing cards to it, or you can flip it around to the battle side and attack someone with the cards that you've equipped to that ship. You can equip up to 3 cards. Now, what are the different cards in the deck? Well, there's 4 different types. First of all, there's a Potato King. Anytime any player draws a Potato King card, even in the very beginning, you play this in front of you. That's actually one of your objectives. If you happen to get, I think it's 7 of the potato cards, yeah, 7 Potato King cards, you win the game. So that's definitely something that you want to shoot for. How do you get Potato King cards if someone else has it? Well, that's what attacking is all about. You can actually, whenever you sink an enemy ship or knock a player out of the game, you'll be able to capture all of their cards, including their Potato King cards, and put it in front of you, which is kind of nice. So as far as, that's one type of card. The other type of cards are more offensive in nature, and this is a very offensive kind of game. You're going to be attacking on a regular basis. You've got these action cards, and these action cards are basically your damage cards. This says roast 1 potato, mash 2 potatoes. It's basically how much damage you're doing to the enemy. So you can be playing these, say, on a ship. Let's say on my turn, I play this roast card. And then you also got these control cards. That's another type of card. Basically, they're condition cards. While greater than 5 potatoes, while the enemy ship has greater than 5 enemy potato people, things, while target ship has more than 5 potatoes. And then you complete that. That's where the programming comes in, by the way. You follow that condition, and then you follow the damage. Now, you can have 2 of these conditions on here, and then 1 attack card, or you can have 2 action cards and 1 control card. You can do that, it's no problem. But basically, if I were to attack someone else with this particular setup, while the enemy ship has more than 5 potatoes, I'd roast 1 potato. And then, so let's say I was attacking the enemy ship, and this was the enemy ship here. If I were to play this combo on this ship here, I'd be basically, okay, is there greater than 5 potatoes on the ship? The answer is yes, so I take 1 away. Let's repeat the process. While greater than 5, roast 1, yes. While greater than 5, roast 1, yes. While greater than, and so on and so forth, until you get to something like this. This is not greater than 5 anymore, so this no longer applies. Any attack cards that you equipped to your ship and then used for your attack are discarded at the end of that attack phase. So these would go away, and then you'd move, the other player would move on to their next ship, assuming they haven't moved them already. So just to quickly sum this up on your turn, you either play cards to a ship. Let's say I decide to do this, and then I move on to my other ship, and I decide, okay, I'm going to add, say, this card to it. And then that ends your turn, and you move on to the next guy. Now, on your turn, you can also freely move crew members back and forth between your ships if you want to. Now, there may be instances that come up where you've been attacked, and let's say you lose all the crew members on one ship after a really nasty salvo. There's some really nasty ones in here. There's some hijack cards, steal an enemy ship, and the cards on it. These are those surprise cards. That's the last type of card, by the way, that I didn't show you in here. That's sort of like an interrupt card in like card games where you battle each other. You can play them anytime, and they usually have some type of nasty effect. Deny blocks all attacks and surprises. Switch. Your prize is decided by how many ships you own. There's more Potato Kings there. This is another interesting control card. This is one of the more complicated ones. If attack ships with 3 or less potatoes, or else attack ships with 4 or more potatoes. So basically, one of two things can happen here. And on this particular card, you're going to be assigning cards both on this side and on this side, which is really interesting. So you could be, when you attack someone, you choose the correct one, and then you just follow out that condition and see it through. And then after that attack is over, you discard that card, and so on. And any cards that happen to be on that particular side. So these if-else cards are kind of really nasty if you chain them together correctly. There's some other nasty combos in here. I don't know if I'll get to them all. There's a lot of cards to go through. For X times, X is the number of cards in the enemy's hand. So let's say the enemy has 5 cards in their hand, and you happen to play that along with mash 2 potatoes. So for X times, X equals the number of cards in the enemy. If the enemy has, say, 4 cards in their hand, and you attack with this particular setup, 4 times 2 is 8. So you've attacked them 8 times for 8 damage. So you knocked out 8 of their crew members. And if if a ship happens to run out of crew, it sinks altogether, and that player would end up losing. I know I've got cards all over the place here. But if a person happens to lose a ship, or lose all the crew members on their ship, they lose their ship and it's gone. So yeah, and then you're left with 1. Now you can buy more ships if you want by spending, I believe it's 4 crew members, and then you need 1 additional one to actually put onto it in order to keep it afloat. Otherwise, it's just going to sink again. So that's a possibility. You having crew members but no ships. There's also the possibility that you're going to be out of crew members and have some ships, and after that, if you can't put anything on here, then these ships would sink, and that's game over, and you're eliminated from play. And the last person standing will win, or the first player to get these 7 Potato King cards will also win. Like I said, this was just a rough and dirty overview of the game, but that's the gist of it. You're going to have ships, you're going to play cards to those ships, and then you're going to attack other players using various card combinations of action cards and control cards. One to set the condition, and one to set how much damage it does. And then if you're the last player standing, or the first player to get 7 of these cards, you win. It's fairly simple. It's really cool. The box does say 3 to 6 players. I just want to note that. However, I do find that you can play with 2 players. It's possible, because think about it. Since this is an elimination game, there's going to be a point sometimes where there's only going to be 2 people left, because other people have been eliminated. So you can play with 2 players. Just be warned that if you do play with 2 players, the game isn't as good, and games will tend to be very quick. Unless you can modify the game in some way to extend the length. Maybe like getting more crew members, so that you can take more damage, or what have you. You're going to have to experiment for yourselves. So again, that was a brief look at Potato Pirates. If you guys haven't already, subscribe to my channel and check out my official website, www.dadsgamingaddiction.com. This is Vince. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.